been known to hate a protagonist so much that I throw the book across the room. It can't be helped. Kim here, and books. It's Wednesday, that means we're gonna do Top 5 Wednesday. Most unlikable protagonists. Top 5 Wednesday is a Goodreads group. I'll leave the link in the description down below in case you want to join in on all the fun that we have on a weekly basis. The protagonists in these books are just difficult. I ranked my top 5 most unlikable protagonists from unlikable but I still like them to unlikable but I loathe them with the raging fire of 1,000 suns. If you've been following my channel for any length of time, you probably have a good idea of who I'm gonna pick. But we'll get there. Number 5. Holden Caulfield from Catcher in the Rye. A lot of people hate this book because of Holden's unlikableness, and I am here to tell you that I found his unlikableness one of the most likable things about this book. His grumpy, depressive teenage angst is a thing of beauty. His just despair is what makes this book such a powerful piece of literature. I will always stand by this book and I will always stand by Holden. I also feel like all of us at some point in our lives had that angsty, the world is against me and everything sucks attitude. I feel like that just comes with being an adolescent, and he is so on the brink of crossing over from youth to adulthood that it's just refreshing, relatable. I think it's relatable. I think Holden is a relatable character, and I think that's why a lot of people don't like him, is because they see a part of themselves in Holden, and that part can be ugly. So they hold it against Holden. They Holden it against him. What? Number 4. Harry Potter in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, known as Harry's angsty year, a negative Nelly. And you know, with good reason. I feel like a lot of people get upset with Harry in this book because they're just like, stop pushing people away, stop putting up walls, stop being such a grumpus. And I'm like, dude, I feel like he's earned his right to be a little cranky. This kid's gone through so much and he just has really earned his right to be disgruntled. While I do think this is sometimes the Debbie Downer of the series, I feel like Harry's negative attitude was earned and appropriate. But it was still a little doom and gloom. This book weighs a freaking ton. Number 3. Scarlet O'hara from Gone with the Wind. Remember that thing I said about being so upset with the protagonist that I sort of chuck the book across the room? This is that book. I have such a love-hate relationship with Miss O'Hara, Mrs. O'Hara, whatever, because she's married like 50 times. She drives me crazy in her childish behavior, in her... Oh! Pardon me. Hello?
And other servicers are directly offered for help.
Bye! I have such a love-hate relationship with Scarlet O'hara. I hate her childish decisions and her selfishness and just her so complete, like, self-involvement. She's just so self-absorbed, but at the same time, that's what makes this book so great, is because you have this crazy thing going on around her of the Civil War. Like, everything on the outside of Scarlet is crumbling, but oh, Ashley, the whole time. It's an interesting juxtaposition of self-centeredness versus the downfall of your world. I don't know, I just feel like because Scarlet was unlikable, that made the story just incredibly intricate and interesting and entertaining. Number 2, Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. I didn't like either protagonist in this book. What's his name? Nick? Both Nick and Amy were unlikable. Their motives are just kind of twisted, and their actions are questionable, and just everything about why they do what they do is slightly unlikable. You're a crazy person, but what are you gonna do next? You read this book because it's like, I gotta find out what this demented person is gonna do about this, because they're obviously not gonna handle it in a rational or logical way. They're terrible human beings. All throughout the story, I didn't really have any sympathy for either of them. While they're both terribly flawed and horrible human beings, that was the point of the story. Watch these terrible people do these terrible things and see what happens. I'm not gonna lie, that was a little bit entertaining. But I did hate them. Finally, the number one most unlikable protagonist. This should come as no surprise to any of you who watch my channel. Oh, I hate her. Bovary. Madame Bovary. Gustave Flaubert's Madame Bovary. I hate Madame Bovary. I hate everything about this selfish, awful, atrocious, disgraceful piece of garbage of a human being. Madame Bovary is just one of the most terrible literary characters to ever come about. I think the book was interesting and the story was interesting, and part of that was because she's so just horrific. I hate her. And I really did not enjoy the read because I hated her. No part of me empathized or sympathized or cared what happened to Madame Bovary. I just didn't like her enough to want good things to happen to her. I'm not saying I wanted bad things to happen to her. I'm just saying I didn't care. I didn't give a tiny little rat's bottom about Bovary and her future. I want nothing to do with her. She is the actual worst. You know, I have yet to find someone who disagrees with me. Hate all around for Madame Bovary, and it's well deserved. Those are my top 5 most unlikable protagonists. I would love to hear who you hated and who you love to hate in the comments below. Let's have a conversation about people that are terrible. Consider subscribing to this YouTube channel if you haven't already. It is full of terrible people sometimes. That makes you think. Thanks for watching!